Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Micha and welcome to my chessrealm YouTube channel. Another interesting game from the European Club Cup from the 6th round duel between Maximilian Berchtenbreiter and Eric Hansen. Let's see what happened. Maximilian Berchtenbreiter had white pieces and he started with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5, knight to f6, and we have Berlin defense of Ruy Lopez. White plays d3, bishop goes to c5, white castles kingside. Now let's see. Knight to d4 or d6 are by far the most popular moves. Black has decided to play knight to d4 and now knight captures on d4, bishop recaptures, and now white intends to drive this bishop away with c3, depriving knight from his natural square. So white plays knight goes to d2 and now black responds with c6, attacking bishop on b5, bishop goes back to c4. You might wonder why not just play d5, driving this bishop away. Well, let's see. If black plays d5, then pawn captures on d5, c-pawn recaptures, bishop to b6. It's check. Now black either interferes or removes his king, losing right to castle. Well, let's see. Bishop to b7. Bishop simply captures. Now black doesn't want to lose the right to castle. Queen has to capture, and now knight to f3, attacking both this bishop and pawn is very unpleasant, preparing c3, driving this bishop away. And if, for example, a knight should capture, then simply queen to g4, targeting this g7 square. If black castle doesn't help, simply knight to f3, again targeting these two pieces and also threatening bishop to h6, very unpleasant for black. So in the game, black plays d6, white plays c3, driving this bishop from d4, bishop goes to b6, and now white plays bishop goes back to b3. It's clearance, clearing this c4 square, preparing knight to c4, attacking this bishop on b6. Black castles kingside, and now of course knight goes to c4, targeting this bishop on b6. Black doesn't want to lose his bishop pair, so bishop goes to c7, and now white plays bishop to g5, pinning this knight on f6 to the queen. So black plays h6, attacking this bishop on g5, and white keeps the tension, so bishop goes to h4, still keeping this pin on the knight, and black has decided to totally unpin this knight, so g5 was played. Now white has no other option but to play bishop to g3, knight is unpinned at the cost of weakening his position around the black king, and now black plays king to g7, preparing rook to g8 or maybe h8, defending the last rank. Knight to e3 was probably preparing to deploy maybe to f5 or d5 if possible, but now black plays h5. Very serious threat, threatening with h4, trapping this bishop, gaining a piece. So maybe white could try with h3, creating escape square on h2 and also protecting this g4 square. But white has decided to play h4, targeting this pawn on g5. Of course, black cannot capture, because if g-pawn captures on h4, bishop recaptures, and now this pin is forever. And of course, white only needs to play queen to f3, further increasing the pressure here on f6, and this is very bad for black, if not totally lost. So black plays knight goes to g4. Now white continues with h-pawn captures on g5, queen recaptures, preparing this h4, driving this bishop away. Well, white has to be careful. White cannot simply capture this knight on g4, because h-pawn simply recaptures, opening the h file, so rook to h8 is a very serious threat here, and black definitely gets the edge here. So in the game, white plays f4, offering the trade of queens. Indeed, if black captures with knight on e3, white simply recaptures queen with f-pawn, knight captures on d1, rook from a2 captures on d1, and let's see, material is equal. Of course, white has double pawns around the f file, but this rook to f6 is a very serious threat, so let's say the position is roughly equal. In the game, black has decided to keep the tension, so queen goes to h6. Now white has to be careful. This knight on e3 is still under attack, threatening to fork both the queen and the rook, and if white tries with queen to e2, then d5 is a very powerful move, because when this pawn is gone, both bishops are targeting this king actually. So in the game, white has decided simply to capture knight on g4, knight captures on g4, bishop recaptures, attacking the queen, and now queen goes to e1. Now d5 doesn't work anymore because after d5 white simply captures king on e5, again threatening this unpleasant rook to f6. So in the game, black has decided to play h4, targeting this bishop on g3. Now let's see, white has a few options. Of course, bishop to f2, removing the bishop to f2 is the worst because h3 is a deadly move. White cannot capture because queen captures, threatening bishop to f3, threatening with mate here on g2. And of course, if white makes a random move, black simply captures, threatening with checkmate. And if king captures, queen to h3, king to g1, bishop to f3, and white is lost. Now let's see what happens if bishop captures on h4. Of course, bishop is protected by the queen, but in this position, black would play bishop to b6 check. Of course, if king goes to h1, rook to h8, double attack here. So white would have to defend with bishop to f2, but then after rook to h8, black threatens with mating on h1. White would have to capture on b6, creating a square. And after queen to h2, king to f2, rook to h3 would be a deadly move. White cannot capture because this pawn is pinned. And if white would try to prevent the bishop by bishop to a5, simply rook to f3, again check. Of course, pawn cannot capture because it's pinned. After king to e2, queen captures on g2, king to d1, rook captures on f1. Of course, queen can capture, but it's going to be checkmate in a couple of moves. If, however, white would try with trading the material, bishop to d1, then black simply captures bishop on b6. Of course, bishop to g4 doesn't help. After queen to g3 is check. After the only move, king to e2, queen captures on d3 check. King can only go to f2, queen to g3, king let's say to e2 again, queen captures with check, king to d2, and then rook to g3, threatening to capture pawn on g2 and also threatening to capture pawn on f4. Either way, black enters the endgame with additional pawn, so this is winning for black. So the bottom line is white cannot capture pawn on h4. Instead, white plays a very daring move, f-pawn captures on e5. Of course, now d pawn cannot recapture because after that, white can capture pawn on h4, bishop to b6 doesn't help anymore because now white plays d4. Even if black captures with e-pawn captures on d4, we have this bishop to f6 check. And when this king on g7 is removed, white can easily capture pawn on d4 with a c-pawn. So in the game, black captures pawn on g3 with pawn, and of course queen recaptures, targeting this defenseless bishop on g4. Of course, black cannot defend with queen to g6 because rook to f6 is very unpleasant, and if after queen to g5, again rook to f4, targeting this, skewering this queen is also deadly. So in the game, black plays bishop to b6 check, and now white has no other option but to play d4, preventing this check. And now d pawn captures on e5. Of course, d pawn cannot capture on e5 because it's pinned by the bishop. And naturally, white could simply capture this bishop on g4. After black would defend the check, queen to g6, queen would capture, f-pawn would recapture. Well, white is still a pawn up, but this bishop is pinned and this double attack. So here black gains additional pawn, the material and the position would be equal, and the game would probably ended up in a draw. In the game, however, white makes a spectacular move. Rook to f5 was played. Of course, bishop cannot capture because it's pinned by the queen. And of course, white threatens with capturing this bishop on g5 because if black makes a random move, queen to g5 check. If queen defend, rook to g5 skewering this queen. And if, for example, king goes to let's say h7, rook to h5, again queen is lost. So in the game, black plays queen to g6, defending this bishop on g4. White plays queen to e5 check. King cannot go, let's say, to g8 because rook to g5, again skewering this queen. So in the game, black defends the check with f6, and now queen to e7 check. Now black has a few options, either defending with rook to f7, or maybe king to h8 or h6. Well, rook to f7 definitely equalizes because after bishop captures, queen captures, queen captures, king captures. Of course, rook is under attack. After, let's say, rook to f4, what do we have? White has the rook and 2 pawns versus 2 bishops, so this game is, let's say, roughly equal, or maybe black has a slight advantage. The best continuation for black would simply be to play king to h8, because then after, let's say, if white would try king to f2, targeting with rook to h1, attacking this king, black would be on the move and would play king to h7, or literally forcing the trade of queens, because you have to keep in mind that rook on f5 is still under attack. So here white would be forced to take the queens, and after white would remove the rook, white would have only 2 pawns for a bishop, and this would be better for black. In the game, however, black plays the worst move, king goes to h6. And now white responds with king to f2, preparing this rook to h1, deadly attack on the king. Well, let's say black makes a random move, rook goes to h1, black could only defend with bishop to h5, rook captures on h5, queen recaptures, rook recaptures, king recaptures, and then queen to h7 check, let's say king to g5, queen to g7, if king to a4, and then we have g3, it's checkmate. If, however, let's say king to h5, bishop to d1 check, again it's going to be mate in the couple of moves. So in the game, black had no other option but to capture this rook on f5, so bishop capture on f5, and now white plays rook to h1 check. If black doesn't want to lose the queen, king to g5 is the only option, and this is what happened in the game. King goes to g5, and now white continues with queen to d6, preparing queen to g1 with checkmate, because if, for example, black makes a random move, then queen to g3, bishop to g4, defending, queen to e3, it's checkmate. And in this position, black had the last chance to save himself. Bishop to g4 would have to be played, because even after queen to g3, threatening here with queen to e3 checkmate, black could simply play queen to h5, providing a safe square for his king. And even if white captures, king captures, black has 2 rooks and a bishop for a queen. So black should be better, but okay, maybe in this position, since king is open, let's say the position is roughly equal. In the game, black makes a fatal blunder. Bishop to e4 was played, and now white starts a king hunt. Queen to g3 was played, check. Now king has only one option, f5, so king goes to f5, queen to h3, check. Of course, if king goes to f4, we have g3, now queen can only capture, but then it's going to be recaptured and it's going to be mate in the next move. So in the game, black defends the check with queen to g4, and now queen to h7 check. Black can defend the check with queen to g6, but then rook to h5 is deadly. Of course, if king to g4, bishop to e6, king to f4, queen to h6, queen captures, and g3 is checkmate. If, however, black plays king to f4 immediately, queen to h6 check, queen captures, and now we have g3 check. The only option is king to g4, bishop to d1. Black can delay the mate for one move, but after bishop to f3, it's checkmate. So in the game, black plays king to g5, now queen to h6 check. The only option is king to f5, and now rook to h5 check. Let's see what black can do. Well, the only option now is if queen defends check with queen to g5, but after rook captures on, if king goes to f4, it's a g3 checkmate. If, however, f-pawn captures on g5, we have a bishop to e6 check. The only option is king to f4, and after g3, it's checkmate. And realizing that all is lost, in this position, Eric Hansen resigned the game. So I hope you like this game, I hope you have learned something from it. If you have any questions, my email is below in the description. Of course, I invite you to visit my Instagram page. That's it for now, and see you soon.